And welcome back. Look who is here with a new series, and this one is a special one. No, not what you're seeing on the screen right now, because that's kind of boring, but it is part of what we're going to be working on today. We are going to be getting into the field of drawing Greyhawk city maps. And this is going to be the first one, the city of Womtham. In fact, let me just bring that up right here. Here we go, city of Womtham. Now, this is in partnership with Greyhawk Online and Christoff himself. I am going to be doing a new Greyhawk city every single quarter. There, I just said it. I put it out there online. Can't take that away. So the first one up is Womtham, and I wanted to really talk to you about how I go about researching this type of thing, how I go about deciding how big is my canvas going to be, how big is this city going to be, how do I even try to encapsulate what the population of this city is going to be about. What determines the shape of the city? What determines what goes in the city? Yada, yada, yada. There's so many things I think about. So I am going to start with a blank slate, and I am going to bring you along for the ride. This is a new series. We're going to do one every single quarter. At the end of the quarter, it's going to result in a whole new Greyhawk city map, and I will be giving them away on my Patreon. So if you want copies of these, sign up there. I can't even begin to tell you of why you should not do it. Now, that said, obviously this will be for Greyhawk Online, and you're going to be able to see these city maps over there too. And this partnership with Christoff, honestly, makes me super excited because he's a really cool guy, and Greyhawk Online is fantastic. And this gets me even closer to Anna Maya now. I feel like I'm becoming part of the family. So without further ado, let's just talk about what we're going to do today, and I'm going to just jump into it. I'm going to walk you through my thought process. That's what today's episode is, right? Thought process. First and foremost, how big are we drawing this thing? Well, how big's a piece of string? You know, we could go absolutely massive, but we could do a poster size if we wanted to, but baby steps, Padawan, baby steps. I typically go for letter size, right? In which case that means that we're doing something like 8.5 by 11. There we go. However, I love to double these sizes. Why? I don't know. It's a habit I've gotten into, because if I double this and draw it at double size, now you've kind of got the ease of being able to do a small poster, right? You can scale up from there a little bit on the print, and it's not going to lose any quality. Likewise, you could reduce it down to a print size of a sort of standard page, and it's not going to look too compressed. So I find that doubling it, you can go a little bit larger, you can go a little bit smaller. It's got some versatility to it. So I personally am going to double this now, which puts my math on the table here, and we end up with 17 by 22. I don't want to, however, do it in this portrait view. I want to have it in landscape because of reasons, which will become evident as I get into this sort of city layout. And then resolution, I am personally going to do 300 would work, right? 300 is absolutely fine. We don't need to go any much bigger than that. But I am going to go 400 because I've got a new computer, and let's just push it a little bit. So 400. RGB color. This is all, by the way, in Photoshop. But guys, girls, if you're sitting there with a tablet in your lap, that works too. You could be absolutely drawing in any program right now. It does not have to be Photoshop. This is just my chosen tool. I'm going to hit create. So this is our blank canvas. Where do we go from there? Well, the first thing that I absolutely do, let's just get it in our black and white. We are going to, let's get our layers on here. I always create a layer, which is my background, nice and simple. I like drawing on white. I come from an ink on paper background, and I feel that this helps me see what I'm doing, right? So let's just fill our background with white here. Done. Nice and simple. We're going to get our brush. Now, I always go for a nice hard round pen pressure size. We're going to dial in what our actual brushes are going to be. So, main brush size is going to be 15. We're going to drop it into the 12s and the 10s, etc. for the super fine details. We could always go up a little bit if we need a good thick line. Now, let's get into the nitty gritty of this. What does the city of Womtham look like? Well, let's find out. The whole thing about Womtham is I went online just to see what else is out here. And here's the first thing that we should be paying attention to. Large city, sure. But it's the population of 19,200 right here. So that gives us, let's just call it 20,000. I start here, and then you can see, if we actually click on this, you can actually see Womtham is based on this Duntide River right here. Now that actually is repeated right here. Womtham is a major city of Nyrond located on the upper reaches of the Duntide River. Swelled in size, yada yada yada. I'll let you kind of pause the video if you want to read that through, but it's all on the wiki. Not too much is known about this city. I have an example of what someone else has done in the past, and I'm going to talk about that momentarily. But this is my basis. A city of 20,000 on the Duntide River. Now, if you actually read a little bit deeper into this, it does talk about that it's got the Flinty Hills nearby here, but it talks about, whoa, oh, and here's all of our population sort of counts, etc., etc., etc. But you can actually see that it's got a major road, and you can see that on the map too. So you can see that the actual road crosses the river. That's important. That to me says that there has to be some kind of bridge for a major road like this. It's not going to just suddenly turn into a ferry. Likewise, this is a major city. So, and it's got a lot of timber and the likes, and the river is used primarily as a way of actually sort of movement as well. This is a fairly major river. This is a major road. So this has got to be a bridge going over this. But I wonder if Womtham would straddle the river. But with a major bridge, it could. So what I mean by that is, if you've got a town or a city and it's next to a river, and let's say that river is significant, it's going to be significant even at a fairly narrow stage. Being able to build on the other side without a bridge is an obstacle. People on the other side of that river being able to get to the city proper is going to be difficult. It's an obstacle to them. So for a long time, the population of this city is not going to be on the other side of that river. It's difficult for the population to actually spread out and actually gain the resources and the protection of the city itself, the benefits of the city. So it's going to be located on one side. Odds on. At the point where you start getting bridges going across, though, the ease by which traffic can move to and fro is easier. Now there's no negative to living on the other side of the river, other than you don't necessarily have the protection of the city itself. People are going to want to huddle around this city still. But now we have a situation where the population could be on the other side. So why do I bring that up? Let's just get rid of this for a moment. Because if we consider that we're going to draw, let's say, for the sake of argument, we actually draw the Duntide River like so. And that's a fairly wide boy, right? There's a thick boy. But that would be a major river, right? But this would allow me to kind of sort of draw on this side of the river, draw on this side of the river, and like do obviously the main road coming through a little bit like this. That is a terrible road, but you get the idea. Now we've got a sense of, okay, so this here is maybe where it all started, but at the point where they managed to actually get this bridge in place, now the population started to come on the other side. Now I've got a general shape forming here. And the reason why I bring that up is the alternative is we only, let's say, do one side of the river, and we actually concentrate on the city on this side, and we show the bridge here with the rest of the road going through town. But we're just focused on this. This is another way of approaching it. Clearly there's nothing on the other side of the river. We don't even show the other side. Why would we not show the other side? Well, what if it was really, really wide? What if the river was like this mega, mega, mega boy? And now we've given ourselves limited space. Oops. We're giving ourselves limited space here for actually drawing our city, right? I mean, we're cramped. The rivers... Now this is a map of the river. It's not a map of the city. To combat that, what we would have to do is zoom way out. And let's say this was still a super major river here. And let's say that this was hundreds of feet across. Well, now we could end up in a situation where our buildings are really, really tiny. And this is too zoomed out. We have to hit some kind of middle ground on this. And this is part of my consideration for laying out the canvas. So, I think, A, that there would be some population on the other side. No more than that. And even that may be too much river. I kind of want to zoom out just a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? So I think, maybe it would end up being more like... Maybe this. Maybe something like this. And what this would allow me to do would actually be to, capture some farms, etc. around here. Some forests, because it is a heavy logging area. Maybe even a hint of hills or something like that. While still getting enough detail in the city itself. Got plenty of drawing with the city. And on the other side, major bridge going across. The road coming through. I could get dock details because this is they use the river, right, for movement of goods such as the timber, etc. This starts to feel like a good size. I've got enough room to capture the things I want: the city, the bridge, the river, the forests around, some farmland, and if you read the wiki, there was an influx of population that couldn't fit within the walls. There's going to be some spillover from the city itself. This would allow us to capture all of that. This, I think, has the right balance to it. Let's talk about the next step. I'm going to leave that on there. That's all kind of like draft one, right? Let's talk about the next things I start to consider. This is a population of 19,200 people. Or let's call it 20,000. So what sort of sizes are we looking at? What sort of other cities, maybe in the real world, are we looking at to have a similar population? And we will explore that in the next chapter together. So I will see you in part 2. If you have enjoyed this video, if you are curious about where the Greyhawk city maps are going, please consider hitting me up with a like, a subscribe, and check out my Patreon on patreon.com/Alyssa Faden. Until then, much love to all of you.